Imagine walking through Central Park, the most famous city park on the planet. But what if we told you there's been talk, rumors even, of selling off parts of this beloved green oasis? That's right, those skyscrapers, luxury condos, or even high-end shopping malls taking over sections of this historic park. Yet, with the value of land in Manhattan skyrocketing, it's not entirely impossible to picture a future where sections of Central Park might be sold for development. If this ever becomes a reality, just think about what could be built. We could be seeing towering glass structures, world-class hotels with Central Park views, or state-of-the-art commercial spaces that would attract global brands. Luxury apartment buildings could dominate the skyline, with penthouses overlooking what remains of the park. It could even become a hub for tech campuses or entertainment complexes. But with all these potential developments, it begs the question, would it still feel like New York without its natural heart? What makes Central Park irreplaceable? Stick around and we'll explore the hidden magic of this park and what we stand to lose if the rumors ever come true. Now, let's break it down. Central Park, covering 848 acres of prime Manhattan real estate, holds an almost unimaginable value. Experts have speculated that if parts of it were ever sold, we'd be looking at trillions of dollars in potential deals. With the insatiable demand for real estate in New York City, developers would be salivating at the chance to build on such an incredible location. Central Park isn't just valuable because of its location, it's the soul of the city, a natural refuge from the constant hustle and noise. Even the idea of selling off a portion feels like tearing out a piece of New York's identity. And it doesn't stop there. It's one of the most filmed locations in the world, with around 42 million visitors every year. But what makes it so irresistible? What secret ingredients keep drawing people in year after year? Well, stick around, because by the end of this, you'll see the hidden details that make Central Park the greatest metropolitan park in the world. Did you know that the idea for creating a huge park in the middle of Manhattan actually started way back in the 1840s? New York was growing fast and the city was getting crowded. People realized they needed a big open space where everyone could relax. So, in 1853, a massive 778-acre park was approved. And this wasn't just any park, it had become what we know now as Central Park. But here's where it gets interesting. In 1858, two landscape architects, Frederick Law Olmsted and Calvert Vaux, came up with the winning design for the park, called the Greenswood Plan. Construction started in 1857, but not without controversy. The land included a small black settlement called Seneca Village, and the city used something called eminent domain to take it over. The entire village was torn down to make way for the park, which is something most people don't know about. Fast forward to the early 20th century, and Central Park was in a pretty bad shape. It wasn't until Robert Moses, the city parks commissioner, launched a huge cleanup project in the 1930s that the park started to bounce back. But the real transformation didn't happen until the 1980s, when the Central Park Conservancy stepped in. They started restoring parts of the park, bit by bit, bringing it back to the incredible space we all love today. Frederick Law Olmsted and Calvert Vaux were the main brains behind the design. Olmsted had the big picture vision, and Vaux, he focused on the finer details, adding his artistic touch. But they didn't do it alone. They had some serious help. And who was behind this ambitious project? A dream team of experts, each bringing their unique skills to make it happen. The vision? To create a green space unlike anything before. The land was tough. They had to remove 5 million cubic feet of rocks and soil just to make the space workable. That's more gunpowder than they used in the Battle of Gettysburg. On top of that, the soil wasn't good enough for the plants they wanted, so they brought in fertile soil from Long Island and New Jersey. It took more than 20,000 workers to get the job done, with some of the most advanced technology of the time, like steam-powered equipment and machines for moving trees. The lake in the southwestern section was the first area to open, and just a few months later, in June 1859, the Ramble followed suit. Central Park was slowly coming to life. But New York wasn't done yet. The state legislature gave the green light to buy another 65 acres at the northern end of the park, expanding it all the way up to 110th Street. By 1860, the part of the park south of 79th Street was mostly done, and people were starting to really notice. Central Park became the place to be, a daily parade of horse-drawn carriages, the Carriage Parade, making its way through the park, attracting attention from everyone in the city. By 1867, the park saw nearly 3 million people on foot, along with 85,000 horses and 1.38 million carriages every year. The park was a hub of activity, welcoming New Yorkers from all walks of life. It's split into 3 sections. At the top, you've got the northeast, stretching above the famous Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis Reservoir. In the middle, there's Mid-Park, sitting between the reservoir and 2 popular spots, the lake and Conservatory Water. And then, down south, you've got the south end, which falls below the lake and Conservatory. Each area has its own vibe, and there's something for everyone. Here's something not a lot of people know. Central Park was America's very first landscaped park. Back in the 1850s and 60s, this wasn't just nature doing its thing, it was designed to look this way. Every tree, every hill, every twist of the path was planned out. They even created 8 lakes and ponds by damming up natural streams. So that wild look, totally human-made. Within the park, there's so much to see. Wooded areas, sprawling lawns, peaceful meadows, and smaller grassy patches where you can just relax. And if you've got kids, you're in luck. There's 21 playgrounds scattered throughout, so the little ones can burn off some energy. Now, here's the fact. Central Park is actually the 6th biggest park in all of New York. It covers a massive 843 acres. That's bigger than you probably imagined. There's a section of the park that's counted separately from the rest of the city. According to the latest stats, it's home to a whopping 4 people. Yep, 4 females live there with a median age of about 20. But wait, park officials say nobody actually lives there permanently. So, is it a mystery? Maybe. Did you know that nearly 2/3 of the people visiting the park are actually regulars? Yep, they're not just passing through, they come by at least once a week. And here's something interesting. About 70% of them live right here in New York City. It's like the park has become their weekly getaway in the middle of the hustle and bustle. The Dairy, tucked away in the heart of Manhattan. Well, back in 1871, this place was originally built by the architect Calvert Vowell, not as a visitor center or gift shop like it is today, but as a cozy little restaurant. The Dairy was part of something called the Children's District, which wasn't even part of the original Central Park plans. But here's the wild part. The Dairy was meant to sell milk and snacks, and you could borrow board games for a relaxing afternoon in the park. Cows were supposed to live right in the basement, providing fresh milk for the parkgoers. You've probably heard of the famous spots, but have you ever explored the hidden gems in the northern part of the park? There's a story here that starts long before Central Park was even a thing. First up, the Dana Discovery Center, built in 1993, is nestled by the Harlem Mere. It's not just another building in the park, it's where you start to feel the quieter, more serene side of Central Park. But if you really want to step back in time, you'll want to find Blockhouse number 1. It's the oldest building still standing in the park, and get this, it was built before Central Park even existed. It was part of Fort Clinton during the War of 1812, a time when this area was all about protecting New York City. Ever heard of the Lasker Rink? It was once a skating rink and a swimming pool, right there on the edge of the Harlem Mere, offering a spot for locals to cool off in the summer and skate in the winter. And then there's the Conservatory Garden, the only formal part in Central Park. If you enter through the Grand Vanderbilt Gate at 5th Avenue and 105th Street, you're stepping into a beautifully manicured area that's a world away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Central Park is a big place and it's easy to get turned around, but if you do, here's a tip. There are more than 1,800 lampposts in the park that tell you where you are if you know where to look. At the base of each lamppost there's a set of numbers. It's like a secret code just waiting for you to crack. The first 2 numbers, they tell you which cross street you're near, anywhere between 59th Street and 110th. The last 2, well, they let you know which side of the park you're on, east if the numbers are even and west if they're odd. You ever notice the bridges? They're not just there to get you across roads and streams. They're works of art, 36 of them, each one designed to blend with the park's natural beauty. Whether they're made of stone, iron or wood, these bridges add to the park's charm. And then there's the Bow Bridge. This is the one you've probably seen in movies, the one that just screams romance. It's a gorgeous cast iron bridge that sweeps over the lake, perfect for wedding photos or just peaceful moments in the middle of the city's chaos. Let's talk about the heart of New York City and dive into the charm of Bethesda Terrace, home to the stunning Bethesda Fountain. This beautiful centerpiece, known as the Angel of the Waters, was crafted by Emma Stebbins, the first woman ever to be awarded a major public commission in New York. How incredible is that? Now, let's rewind a bit to 1842, when the Croton Aqueduct was completed. This was a game changer for the city. Before this, folks were grappling with serious health issues like cholera and yellow fever, all thanks to the contaminated water. The arrival of fresh water marked a turning point, and that's what this fountain represents, a celebration of life and health. And when it comes to transportation, there comes Transverse Roads. So what exactly is a Transverse Road? It's a pathway that allows traffic to smoothly cross through a park, which is pretty essential, especially when that park spans 51 city blocks from north to south. Now, during the original design competition for this park, the planners had a requirement: at least 4 transverse roads had to be included. Most designers opted to leave these roads right on the surface, but here's the catch: that choice effectively divided the park into 5 separate sections. However, there was one design team that thought outside the box: Val and Olmsted. They came up with a brilliant idea to lower the roads below the park level. Imagine walking through a park and feeling fully immersed in nature, with the hustle and bustle of traffic out of sight and out of mind. Their innovative approach kept the tranquility of the park intact, allowing the visitors to connect with nature without the distraction of vehicles. Central Park is a whopping 848 acres, which is about 39 million square feet. If you break it down, the average land in Manhattan hovers around $1,000 per square foot. So, when you do the math, Central Park could really be worth over $39 trillion. But here's the catch: as a single lot, it wouldn't attract buyers. Who could really afford it? And honestly, what would anyone even do with it? That's the reason it's not sold yet. Let's talk about the future. With over 18,000 trees, it absorbs about 1 million pounds of carbon dioxide every year, giving us cleaner air. These trees also serve as natural air conditioners, providing shade and cooling the city during heat waves. Access to the park increases exercise by 25%, making it a vital space for over 500,000 residents nearby. From sport courts to serene trails, there's something for everyone. Designed as the People's Park, it hosts cultural events, bringing together millions each year. Plus, it's a haven for wildlife, supporting over 200 bird species and various animals. The Central Park Conservancy works tirelessly to maintain this green oasis, ensuring it continues to benefit all New Yorkers for generations to come. Do you think there's anyone who can buy this massive park, or is it all just an illusion? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. See you next time.